Hey y'all, and welcome back to Crafty Corner Pro Max. Today, we're diving into the heart of the home, the kitchen. I'm talking about those vintage kitchen gadgets, the ones with stories etched into every nick and scratch. So, get ready to take a trip down memory lane with me as we uncover 31 vintage kitchen gadgets that are as ingenious and beautiful today as they were generations ago. I bet you'll even recognize a few from your own childhood. Let's start with a true workhorse in Grandma's kitchen, the cast iron skillet. This wasn't just any pan, it was practically a family heirloom passed down through generations. The beauty of cast iron is in its incredible heat retention and even distribution. Plus, it lasted forever, especially if you knew the secret, a good seasoning with a little oil after each wash. Next up, we have the butter churn. With a simple hand crank mechanism, you'd transform ordinary cream into rich, creamy butter. Plus that fresh homemade butter, oh, it was heavenly. Now let's talk about a gadget that might seem a bit intimidating at first glance. The meat grinder. Grandma could take different cuts of meat, grind them up, and control exactly what went into her burgers, meatloaf, and even sausages. It was all about knowing where your food came from and putting that extra bit of love into every step. Before those fancy stand mixers took over our countertops, there was the trusty hand-cranked egg beater. With a few swift turns of the handle, you could whip up the fluffiest meringues, the airiest cakes, and the smoothest custards. It was all in the wrist, and Grandma had the magic touch. Now let's move on to a gadget that guaranteed light as air cakes and pastries, the flour sifter. Sifting the flour aerated it, removing any lumps and creating the perfect texture for baking. It was all about those little details that made a world of difference in the final product. Imagine waking up to the aroma of freshly ground coffee beans every morning. That was the reality in Grandma's kitchen, thanks to the manual coffee grinder. It was a sensory experience that made that morning cup of coffee even more special. Now let's talk about a gadget that added a touch of whimsy to the dinner table, the mason jar butter mold. These molds allowed her to shape homemade butter into intricate designs, turning a simple spread into a work of art. It's amazing how something so small could add so much character to a meal. Next up, we have a tool that's all about comfort food, the potato eraser. This simple gadget transformed boiled potatoes into the fluffiest, creamiest mashed potatoes you ever tasted. Grandma knew the secret to a truly comforting side dish. Long before electric juicers hit the market, there was the handheld juicer. This simple yet effective tool allowed you to extract every last drop of juice from your favorite citrus fruits. It was a great way to add a burst of fresh flavor to drinks and desserts. Now, let's talk about a gadget that made quick work of cheese chocolate and more. The cheese grater with a catch tray. It was all about working smarter, not harder. And Grandma knew a thing or two about efficiency in the kitchen. Next up, we have the pastry blender, a U-shaped tool that was essential for creating flaky pie crusts and biscuits. By cutting the cold butter into the flour, it ensured that the fat remained in small pieces, which melted during baking to create those irresistible flaky layers. Now let's step into the heart of Grandma's flavor kingdom, the spice rack. This organized haven housed a rainbow of spices in glass jars, each one labeled with care. Grandma's spice rack was a testament to her culinary prowess. Next, we have a gadget that made holiday baking extra special, the cookie press. This fun and functional tool allowed you to shape cookie dough into intricate designs, from classic stars to whimsical animals. Grandma's cookie plate was always the star of the show. Now let's talk about a gadget that made apple pie prep a breeze, the apple peeler corer. This ingenious tool could peel, core, and even slice apples in one swift motion. Plus, those perfectly even apple slices, they baked beautifully. Next up, we have a tiny but mighty tool, that played a big role in achieving that perfect pie crust. The ceramic pie bird. This little gadget, placed in the center of the pie, vented steam during baking, preventing a soggy crust. Now, let's talk about a tool that's as beautiful as it is functional, the rolling pin with etched designs. As you rolled out your dough, the etched designs would transfer onto the surface, creating intricate patterns. It was a subtle yet stunning way to add a touch of elegance to your creations. Next, we have a gadget that brought families together on hot summer days, the manual ice cream maker. You'd layer ice and rock salt around the central container filled with cream, sugar, and your favorite flavorings, and then take turns cranking the handle. It was a true team effort, and the reward was oh so sweet. Now let's talk about a tool that ensured perfectly shaped biscuits every time, the biscuit cutter set. These round metal cutters came in various sizes, allowing you to create uniform biscuits that baked evenly. Next, we have a simple yet essential item that kept baked goods fresh and delicious, the bread box. This container provided the perfect environment for storing bread, keeping it away from moisture and air that could cause it to stale. Now let's talk about a gadget that made breakfast a breeze, the egg poacher pan. This specialized pan featured small cups that allowed you to poach eggs to perfection. Next up, we have a tool that's been used for centuries to enhance the flavors of herbs and spices, the mortar and pestle. This simple yet effective tool allowed you to grind ingredients by hand, releasing their full aroma and oils. Now let's talk about a gadget that was essential for preserving the bounty of summer, the jelly strainer. This stand and cloth setup allowed you to strain fruit juice for jelly making, ensuring a clear, smooth result. Next, we have a tool that brought joy to bakers of all ages, tin cookie cutters. These simple yet charming cutters, often shaped like animals, stars, or holiday motifs, were a staple in Grandma's baking arsenal. Now let's talk about a tool that made preparing fish a whole lot easier, the fish scaler. This simple gadget with its serrated edge efficiently removed scales from fish, making the cleaning process much less messy. Next, we have a nostalgic item that brings back memories of school days and packed lunches, the metal lunch pail. These sturdy containers, often adorned with colorful designs, kept meals safely stored and transported. They were a symbol of simpler times and a reminder of the care that went into packing a nutritious lunch. Now let's talk about a tool that played a crucial role in the butter making process, the butter paddle. These wooden paddles were used to press out excess liquid from the churned butter, creating a firmer texture. They were also used to shape the butter into blocks, ready for storage or serving. Next, we have a gadget that made breakfast extra special, the stovetop waffle iron. This cast iron wonder, heated over the stovetop, created golden brown waffles with deep pockets that were perfect for holding syrup and butter. It was a Sunday morning tradition in many homes, and the aroma of freshly made waffles filled the air with warmth and happiness. Now, let's talk about a tool that's as essential today as it was generations ago, the manual can opener. This handheld gadget, with its simple yet effective design, could open cans of all shapes and sizes. Next, we have a gadget that played a vital role in farm-to-table cooking, the milk separator. This contraption, using centrifugal force, separated cream from milk, allowing you to make homemade butter, cream, and cheese. Now let's talk about a cooking surface that's as ancient as it is effective, the soapstone griddle. This heavy, flat stone, heated over an open fire or stovetop, provided an even cooking surface for pancakes, flatbreads, and more. Finally, we have a kitchen workhorse that stood the test of time, the cast-iron Dutch oven. This heavy pot with its tight-fitting lid was ideal for slow-cooking soups, stews, roasts, and even bread. Well, y'all, that was a trip down memory lane. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling all sorts of nostalgia for those simpler times. So, tell me, which of these vintage gadgets brought back memories for you? Share your stories in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Crafty Corner Pro Max for more DIY inspiration and nostalgic journeys. See you in the next video.